Hey guys, it's me, it's Rick, and I'm back with week 3 of August pickups. And we have 4 movies to talk to, so this will be a relatively quick review video. Like I said, 4 films to talk about. Um, but yeah, we're going to dive right into it. The first one is the only one I don't physically have here to talk about, and it's something we watched on Disney Plus the weekend it dropped. It was a movie that we watched with RJ, and it is called Magic Camp. This film stars Adam Devine and Gillian Jacobs. I remembered it. And the movie was basically pushed back. It was supposed to come out it was filmed in 2017, was set for release April of 2018, and got pushed back to summer of 2018. And then Christopher Robin kind of snuck in and took the slot that it was supposed to come out on in April. And Disney pulled it off the shelves and said, we're going to hold this for Disney Plus. And then some 2+ years later, it dropped on Disney Plus. So what we have here is a family-friendly film about a magic camp. And Adam Devine went to his magic camp as a kid, wanted to be a career magician, and he was partners with Gillian Jacobs. They were successful, and then Gillian Jacobs has gone on to become a name on the Las Vegas Strip, a major magician with the likes of, Chris Angel and David Copperfield. Her name's in the lights, and he's driving a taxi. He's not even driving an Uber, which is a reoccurring joke in the film. And this movie is actually surprisingly really entertaining. I kind of was worried when I knew it was over 2+ years delayed. Didn't hear a lot about it, and I was like, oh man, how bad is this going to be? Is this going to be just something that's horrible to sit through, horrible to watch? And it was really, really funny. Adam Devine is great in the movie. He had great chemistry with all the kids that he worked with in the film. A lot of the magic in the film is practical. I think they said there was only 2 moments in the movie that were CGI'd. The rest of the movie, all the kids learned the magic tricks and did the actual magic. So that is pretty fun. As a fan of, magicians and magic, to see a bunch of young kids doing actual magic tricks is really fun. And it's not simple magic tricks. There's some pretty cool illusions and magic done in the film. And there were moments that were really heartfelt, and also moments where I was laughing out loud. It was a really fun movie. I give it a 3 out of 5. It's not going to win any awards, but it's a really fun movie, and I definitely would recommend checking it out for sure. So yeah, Magic Camp on Disney Plus. Do yourselves a favor, look into it, check it out. The next thing we watched, I'm going to add something in before I even dive in. If you guys want to listen to a new movie podcast, especially if you're a fan of the 4K format, there's a podcast called Movies in 4K, which is hosted by Bill and Lady Phantom. And they basically sometimes have guests on. Sometimes it's, just the 2 of them. And they talk about a movie, non-spoiler. They review the movie from 1 to 10. And then they talk about the 4K disc itself. If it's worth buying, if it's worth upgrading, if you should stick with the Blu-ray. They talk about the video quality, the audio quality. It's a really fun show. And Bill actually reached out to me a little while ago now, because I recorded the podcast a few weeks ago, just as of recording this. Today's September 3rd when I'm recording. But they invited me to go on the show, and they gave me an option to pick a 4K movie. I responded back with a list of like 6 4K movies, 3 of which I had seen, 3 of which were movies I hadn't seen. And they chose this movie, which I hadn't watched since seeing the movie in theaters and having it be in my top 3, if I'm not mistaken, of 2016. And that is Arrival on 4K, starring Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forest Whitaker. So I am going to put a link down below to that podcast. Do yourselves a favor. Check out the podcast. Check out other episodes. They've invited me back. I will be doing the podcast again in the future. But just like a really fun podcast. Really, really great sound on it. I listened to some of their other episodes. The sound quality is great. And it was just fun to do. They had lots of kind things to say, and I really appreciate that. And definitely check out the podcast. Link down below. If you go on their website, sign their guest book, tell them you heard about the podcast through Down the Movie that Rick sent you. But check it out. It's really good, especially, like I said, if you're a fan of film, just check them out. I think you'll really enjoy it. And 4Ks especially. Yeah. So, dove into this for a rewatch. It was my first time seeing this since seeing it in theaters, where I absolutely love the film. And the movie is still fantastic. I love the movie. And the movie has very beautiful cinematography. The movie looks fantastic. An amazing performance by Amy Adams. She was definitely snubbed for an Oscar nomination the year this came out. I knew she would have no way of winning because she was against Emma Stone in La La Land, guys. I dropped my notes, so we're going to pick those up seamlessly. But yeah, she didn't get nominated, and Meryl Streep got nominated for the 800th time for a movie that I heard was horrible, Florence Foster Jenkins. But Amy Adams in this movie was absolutely awesome. The last 10 minutes of this film still blow me away mentally. They present such thought-provoking, intense ideas, or what would you do if you were in a similar situation, and really makes me reflect on things and what I would do in a similar situation. If you go into this movie expecting like a big sci-fi Independence Day action film with aliens and craziness, not the movie you're going to get. This is a drama. Yes, there are aliens in the film, but it's about a linguist studying an alien language while dealing with some personal issues. So if you go into it knowing it's a drama, you will probably enjoy it. It's not going to be for everyone. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I really do love Arrival. I think it's a fantastic film. The 4K is not perfect. There's not a lot of colors. It's a very drab, dull movie. And it doesn't, I don't know if it necessarily needs a 4K upgrade. I think it's worthy of a Blu-ray. Listen to a podcast. We talk more about that. But the movie itself is fantastic. 4.5 out of 5. Arrival, I highly recommend checking out. Next up is a movie that I had never seen before. I don't know. It's always been something I've seen but just never watched. And that is The Cell, which stars Jennifer Lopez, Vince Vaughn, and Vincent D'Onofrio. Definitely a different role for Vincent D'Onofrio. The first 45 minutes of this film were awesome. Sucked me right in. It was like a grittier episode of CSI. It was a very like twisted crime drama, and I was really getting into it. A serial killer who has dark seated issues. And then the part of the movie where I lost some love for it, and it's just not my kind of movie at a certain point, where basically Jennifer Lopez goes into the head of a serial killer, and the movie just gets really out there for me. And like I said, I love the first 45 minutes, and it just goes to some weird places that I personally wasn't a huge fan of. So it's kind of cool though, because the idea of entering the mind of a schizophrenic serial killer, and you can't tell what's real and what's not real, and that part's interesting. And it's not a bad movie. It's just a bit too weird for me, a bit too over the top. And there's some loose ends that I don't think were tied up, so that kind of bummed me out a bit. But all in all, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it. I give it a 3 out of 5. Not something I would necessarily want to watch again. But there is a sequel, which I'm intrigued by. The Cell 2. So, but yeah, The Cell, like I said, 3 out of 5. Not necessarily my cup of tea. I love the first 45 minutes. Gets a little weird for me after that. And then the last thing we watched, RJ picked this out to watch. It's a rewatch for all of us. Probably one of the weirdest small budget comedies of all time that went on to be a cultural phenomenon. And that is the 10 Sweet Years of Liger Magic, Toto, and Great Skills edition of Napoleon Dynamite with the fuzzy Liger stripes on there. This was a movie that I saw multiple times in theaters. Me and my buddy Jeremy would go see it, and then we'd try to bring somebody else with us for them to see it, and we kept seeing it over and over, and we would quote the movie. Jeremy could do the whole Napoleon Dynamite dance. It takes place in Idaho. It's a movie that's supposed to take place in 2004, I think is the year it came out. But it feels very 80s, 90s. And when the director was asked about this in an interview, he said, nope, the time period is Idaho. So that's the way he described it, because he grew up in Idaho. Is very autobiographical to an extent. It has a bizarre cast of characters, but lovable characters at that. The movie's highly quotable, highly rewatchable in my opinion. I've seen it so many times. It has a great soundtrack. Fun fact about the movie, just so we're not talking about a movie I've seen hundreds of times and don't really have a ton new to add. John Heder, who plays Napoleon Dynamite, was paid $1,000 to shoot Napoleon Dynamite. And if you guys didn't know, Napoleon Dynamite went on to make $45 million worldwide in box office. That doesn't include all the merchandise and everything that... There was a cartoon series that was spun off from this. John Heder got a movie career from being in this movie. But because of the success of the film in theaters, he ended up getting cut in on the profits of the film. Made substantially more than the $1,000 he thought he was going to make, because he was making it with his friends, the Hess brothers. But yeah, the movie had a $400,000 budget, went on to make $45 million worldwide. I love Napoleon Dynamite. I think it's a very fun movie. It doesn't have any language. It's family friendly, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy Napoleon Dynamite. And yeah, so that's it. And that is it for the reviews. Still 12 minutes, even though we talked about 4 movies. But thank you guys for watching. As always, be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys don't do so already. It is appreciated. And last but not least, hit that bell notification so you guys know when new videos are dropping on the channel. It is much appreciated. Also, check out the description box down below where you can find links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd.com, where I rate and review all the movies I watch, my eBay profile, Blu-ray.com profile, Amazon wish list, email address, P.O. Box. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but all that can be found down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I need to take a drink of iced tea. Until next time, who's down to movie? I hit the camera.